Hey everyone, for those of you who know me, I clearly need no introduction, and for those of you who don't know me, well, this video isn't about me anyway. It's about the tech issues that you might have had in setting up virtual hosts in order to test your websites that you're developing, or to test your PHP code through an internal testing server. Before we take a look at how to edit those files, be it on PC or on Mac, let's just quickly take a look and see what it should do if everything is running correctly. So because I've actually set up a server on my Dreamweaver, a testing server on my Dreamweaver, I don't need to open up the XAMPP control panel. But it's good practice always to have it open and running. So I'm going to run it as an admin. And over here, say yes. And when it opens up, I'm going to make sure Apache and MySQL are running. Great. An interesting thing over here, you can see that the default ports for Apache are 80 and 443. If you're running another voice over IP program, it'll give you a conflict of ports, and that will be a little bit of a hassle, so you'll have to actually edit that and choose a different port for Apache to be listening on. I'll show you how to do that just now. First, we'll open up our browser, and I'm going to show you over here. It says I've set up a test environment called PHP test environment, and the document inside it is called mytest.php, and it'll run the echo statement saying congratulations, you've reached the next level. An interesting thing about PHP, if you open up your console, you're not going to see any PHP tags. All you're going to see is a body tag and the text. That's because PHP stands for PHP Hypertext Preprocessor, which means that it's all server-side code that runs before the actual website is loaded. So now let's take a look at editing those hosts files. So I'll close this off now. This is the section that's going to be for Windows. On Windows, you'll open up your Start menu, go to your computer, C drive. Now, some of you may not be able to see these folders that I'm about to show you. So what you're going to do is you're going to open up the Tools, Folder Options, View. And then you're going to say Show Hidden Files, Folders, and Drives. And you're also going to uncheck Hide extensions for known file types. Then what you're going to do is you're going to open up the Windows folder. You're going to go all the way down to System32. You can see here that there's a folder called Drivers. Open that up, etc. Now over here are your extensionless files, and there's your hosts file. That's the one that we're going to be editing. If you do not have full control over every folder on your computer, you're going to have to do things slightly differently. So I'll show you how to do it the easy way around. What you're going to do is you're going to make a copy of the hosts folder and paste of the host file and paste it on your desktop. Then you're going to open it up with either Dreamweaver or Notepad. It's entirely up to you. I prefer using Notepad. And we see that this is what your hosts file looks like on a PC. Each one of these little hashes is a comment. So it's important that if we're going to start a new line and define a host, it doesn't have a comment before it. So as you can see here, I have one host defined as 127.0.0.1 PHP test environment. Now I'm going to change that up quickly, and I'm going to call it just test env. Okay. Just so that I can show you that once you edit it, it's fine. It'll still work. So now I'm going to save this to my desktop, close it, and there's the edited hosts file. So I'm going to drag and drop it into the System32 file again, and I'm going to say move and replace. It'll give me this prompt, and I'm going to say just continue with admin rights. So you see there's the hosts file, Now let's check if it's edited correctly. Open it up in Notepad once again. And as you can see, there's that name, test-env. Now, that test-env is important, so I'm going to keep it here and minimize it just to double check it. Now that we have that running, let's take a look at our xampp htdocs folder. So what you do is you enter your start menu, go down to the xampp file in your start menu and open up the htdocs folder. That's just a quick way of getting back to your xampp. So you'll hit the xampp up here and you'll open up the Apache folder. Under Apache, you'll see your configuration folder. And then there's this file over here called httpd.conf. Now, remember I was talking about those voice over IP programs such as Skype and TeamSpeak and TeamViewer. There might be a port conflict. So, if there is, open up your httpd.conf file. Or even if you don't have a port conflict, there's still something important that you need to check in here. So the first thing that we're going to check, standard port that it listens on is 80. So we're going to take a look over here and see over here it's listening on port 80. You're going to have, if there is a conflict, you're going to have to change that to an unused port. Say for example 81 or 8080. Either one of those should be fine. Mine has no conflict, so I'll leave mine at 80. Then the second thing that you need to check, because we're using virtual hosting for our websites, we're going to have to take a look at the virtual hosts line and make sure that nothing has been commented out over here. So I just had it. Okay, virtual hosts. There we go. Sorry about that. As you can see here, the heading of virtual hosts has been commented out. That's fine. But the actual line of code is not commented, which is great. That's exactly what we need. So now I'm going to follow this file path, configuration extra httpd-vhosts. So I can close this configuration file. I haven't edited anything on it, so I'm going to say don't save. If you've edited anything, obviously you're going to say save. As you can see, here's the extra file, and then there's httpd-vhosts. So I'm going to open that up and edit it with my notepad. Now this is where this file comes important again. As you can see, here are your virtual hosts. This is what the standard file will look like if it hasn't been edited. As you can see over here, the virtual host tags have been commented out, so I'm going to uncomment them. And I'm going to say that my server is test-env. It's case sensitive. That's why it's important to have something over here to check it against. Now, once again, if you've changed your port to 81 or to 8080, you're going to need to reflect that change over here. Mine is still 80. Now, we're going to also need to edit the document root and the server name. Our document root is in the xampp htdocs folder. So we're going to go back over here to xampp htdocs, and we're going to create a new file with the same case called test-env. And we'll open that up and copy the file path. Once we've copied the file path, we'll take it over here and inside the quotes, we'll paste it and we'll change the backslashes into forward slashes. Our server name is going to have to be the same as on the localhost folder. So it's going to be test-env. So we'll call it test-env. There we go, and all of the cases match. That's great. So now we're going to save the vhosts file. We're going to save the host file. I'm not sure I've edited anything in there, but I don't think I have. And now we'll open up our Dreamweaver create a new PHP document to test this, and we'll see how it works. I'm going to convert it to HTML5. If it is already in HTML5, obviously you don't have to still do that. And this is how you'll just do a basic echo statement in PHP. You'll open up your tag, and then you'll make a question mark, and you'll say PHP. And then to close the tag, you'll make another question mark and another closing element. Then your statement will be as follows: echo, I won the money, close quotations, and close it with a semicolon. It's dead easy to make an echo statement. Once again, an interesting thing about PHP is that you can put in HTML coding there. So if I said I won in heading 1 tags and the money in heading 2 tags, for example, it will show up with that styling. So just as a test, I'll show you this, and let us save this as we'll save it under the test environment folder that we just created, and we'll call it the test.php, and we'll save it. So let's open up our browser once again. Oh, before we actually test this, well, what we have to do is open up XAMPP, stop Apache and start it back up again. And once it's up and running, then we open up our browser, and I say over here test env /the test.php, and I won the money. As you can see over here, the styling carried on through. So that's the basics on editing the hosts file. Now, if you want to run it through a testing server without having to actually edit your hosts file each and every single time, what you're going to do is this. You'll say site, new site, and you'll call it your testing center or your testing environment, whichever. You'll browse to the folder that we've just created called test environment, and you'll select that. Then you'll say servers, and you'll add a new server, and you'll say that it is a local or a network server. Once again, we'll call it our testing center, and the folder will be our test environment folder. Save it there, and the URL we'll call our test env / our the test.php, and I'll say save. So, and I'll uncheck that it's a remote server, and I'll check that it is a testing server, and save this. And there's our server set up. If you're running a Mac and you want to edit your hosts file, you'll do the following. You'll open up your file finder. Apologies, this isn't a machine that I'm used to working with, so sometimes it opens up strange programs as the default. What you'll do is you'll open up your file finder, and in your file finder you'll say go to the folder private etc hosts. That will bring this up with the hosts file highlighted. Now you're going to need to copy and paste your hosts file onto your desktop, much like the Windows users, in order to get full functionality out of it. Once you've gone and done that, you'll open it with TextEdit or whichever text editor program that you prefer, and it'll give you this. Once you're in this file, then you'll add a new line over here, and you'll say 127.0.0.1. You'll make a tab and whatever you wish to call your test environment host. Remember, on Mac, as with PC, it's important to keep everything uniform. So if you're going to use a naming convention, if you're going to use a camel case, make sure that you use that throughout all of your naming, and make sure you use the same name for your servers. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Right, that's all. If you have any questions, just drop me a shout, or if you want to reach out, slap, touch, hit someone, or just have a rant or rave about the video, you can send me a private message. Thanks everyone, and goodbye.